Out west in Southern California, firefighters are having a hard time containing the fast-moving mountain fire, which has scorched more than 20,000 acres.
Homes have burned and public safety officials have called for evacuations there. The fire has largely been pushed by heavy wind and as flames are approaching Santa Paula. NBC's Dana Griffin is in Camarillo Heights, California with the latest.
The Santa Ana winds have significantly died down. The fire now 7% contained. It has burned some 20,000 plus acres. Right now, teams are on the ground trying to assess each property to determine how many homes have been destroyed or damaged. Right now, that number is at 132 destroyed, another 88 damaged. But crews say this is going to be a long, slow process. The governor of California declaring a state of emergency here in Ventura County. And we are hearing stories from people who are returning home. The family in the home behind me, they evacuated with a 7-week-old child. They say they are grateful they left within the time that they did because within 10 minutes, they believe this house behind us went up in flames. Now, that red flag warning is still in effect in the mountains, but we are not out of the woods because officials say there's another Santa Ana wind event expected next week that could come on Wednesday. I'm Dana Griffin, NBC News.
According to fire officials in California, more than 1 million acres have burned in wildfires just since the start of this year, compared to this point last year, where only 308,000 acres burned.
With developing international news, officials in Amsterdam are condemning anti-Semitic attacks that broke out following a soccer match. Authorities say Israeli soccer fans were ambushed and beaten. 5 of them had to be hospitalized. ABC's Morgan Norwood has the latest.
Authorities in Amsterdam launching a massive investigation after violent clashes erupted overnight between pro-Palestinian protesters and fans of an Israeli soccer team that was playing in the city.
I read in our WhatsApp group to stay at home. Why I should feel afraid in the place that I live here?
The Dutch Prime Minister condemning the attacks as anti-Semitic.
It's a terrible anti-Semitic attack and we will not tolerate, and we will prosecute the perpetrators, and I'm deeply ashamed that it could happen in the Netherlands in 2024.
5 fans of Israel's Maccabi Tel Aviv soccer club were hospitalized in what Amsterdam's mayor described as hit-and-run attacks. Perpetrators on scooters searching the city for Israeli supporters. Police say it comes after an incident on Wednesday when Maccabi supporters attacked a taxi and set fire to a Palestinian flag. 62 people arrested and authorities now combing through surveillance video to identify anyone else involved. The violence erupting despite the city's ban on protesting, getting the attention of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who had offered to send military rescue planes to Amsterdam to bring those fans home. Statements from the Israeli government say the fans were attacked, quote, with unimaginable cruelty. The mother of one Maccabi fan says her son was ambushed with sticks and firecrackers, which was very scary, she says. They managed to run quickly and escaped upstairs to the hotel. She says they're scared to leave their room.
And authorities say all of the victims are out of the hospital and most of the people who were arrested have been released. The Israeli team is scheduled to play in France next week, a match the Interior Minister of France said would not be called off. Morgan Norwood, ABC News.
The Department of Justice has charged 3 people in a foiled Iranian plot to kill President-elect Trump before the election. Prosecutors say last month Iranian officials asked Farhad Shakari, one of the men charged, to focus on surveilling and assassinating Mr. Trump. Shakari is still on the run. The 2 other charged American citizens, Carlisle Rivera and Jonathan Lodeholt, were arrested in New York. They're accused of helping Iran to spy on a separate U.S. citizen of Iranian origin.
100% human error. That's what officials at a Low Country Research Center say caused more than 40 monkeys to escape. In an update today, authorities in Beaufort County say the animals have not been recaptured. We're told 43 rhesus macaque monkeys escaped Alpha Genesis Primate Research Center Wednesday afternoon. Officials say the primates were able to escape when a new employee left a gate open. We're told traps have been strategically placed in the area to safely capture the animals.
So it's 13 months since the Israeli onslaught in the Gaza Strip began. The allies of Hamas continue to target the Israeli forces in what they are calling as a show of solidarity with the Palestinian people who are under the bomb. Yemen's Houthi rebels have said that they targeted an Israeli airbase with a hypersonic ballistic missile. The Houthi rebels are claiming that they've targeted the Nevatim airbase in southern Israel. The rebel group claims that it used a hypersonic ballistic missile called Palestine II and also downed an American drone, the MQ-9 Reaper.
وبعون الله تعالى With the help of God Almighty, our air defenses succeeded in shooting down an American MQ-9 aircraft while it was carrying out hostile missions in the airspace of Al Jawaf Governorate at dawn on Friday. Thus, the number of American aircraft that the Yemeni air defenses succeeded in shooting down of this type rose to 12 aircraft during the Battle of the Promised Conquest and the Holy Jihad in support of the Battle of the Flood of Al-Aqsa.
Ever since Israel's military operations began in the Gaza Strip, killing tens of thousands of Palestinians, the rebel groups have carried out strikes on the Israeli territory and have also targeted several commercial vessels in the Red Sea, which the Houthis claim are affiliated to the State of Israel and are transferring weapons to the State of Israel. Meanwhile, the Israeli forces continue with their relentless bombing of the Gaza Strip, as the civilians, that is the Palestinian civilians, are grappling with a war-induced starvation and humanitarian disaster. The United Nations has said that it has verified that almost about 70% of all those who have been killed in the Gaza Strip are Palestinian children and women. The United Nations agency has called the Israeli relentless bombardment as a systematic violation of the fundamental principles of international humanitarian law.
We have been verifying the personal details of those killed in Gaza by strikes, shelling, and other conduct of hostilities. Of those fatalities, we have so far found close to 70% to be children and women, indicating a systematic violation of the fundamental principles of international humanitarian law, including distinction and proportionality.
So as international pressure continues to build on the State of Israel to stop bombing the Gaza Strip and to agree to a ceasefire, the country has said that it will reopen the crossing into Gaza to facilitate a clear passage of aid. But this is what it is now talking.
5 terrorists were killed in an exchange of fire with security forces in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province on Thursday. 4 soldiers were also killed in action during the operation. This according to the Inter-Services Public Relations of Pakistan Army. Now, the security forces were carrying out sanitization operation to eliminate the terrorists in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa area and the Balochistan region. The Pakistan Army said that the operation was part of its ongoing efforts to eliminate terror activities and to restore peace. In another incident, last week, 3 army personnel, including a major general, and 8 terrorists were killed in an operation in northwestern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. A banned outfit, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, took the responsibility for the attack. Now, Pakistan has witnessed a sharp increase in the number of terror attacks targeting security forces and other law enforcement agencies. As per reports, these attacks escalated after the TTP broke a ceasefire agreement with the Pakistani government in 2022. Now, in 2024 alone, over 640 incidents of terror attacks took place in Pakistan, where over 480 civilians and 540 security personnel were killed. In 2023, the total number of terror-related cases was 527, where 386 civilians and 532 security personnel were killed. In 2022, 365 terror-related cases took place in Pakistan, where 229 civilians and 379 security forces were killed.
So what do we know about the North Korean military? Well, as one of the world's most secretive states, information about its armed forces is hard to verify, even though it's very keen to parade it before the world whenever it can. What we do know is that it's one of the most militarised societies in the world. This year, Pyongyang said it was earmarking 16% of all state spending for defence. All men between the ages of 17 and 30 have to enlist in the military, and they have to serve anything from 3 to 12 years in uniform. The Korean People's Army, or KPA, has an estimated 1.3 million active personnel. That includes a million-strong army, an air force of 110,000, and a navy of 60,000. It also has nearly 7,000 personnel involved in cyber warfare. Those numbers make it one of the world's largest militaries, beaten only by the likes of China and the United States. Analysts believe Pyongyang can also call on a further 600,000 reservists. North Korea is also one of only 9 countries in the world known to have nuclear weapons. The fourth branch of its military, its strategic forces, operate a range of intercontinental ballistic missiles, which can be armed with nuclear warheads. Some of them, it's believed, are capable of reaching anywhere in the United States. The KPA also has a lot of conventional military equipment, including more than 3,500 tanks, but a lot of it is old Soviet-era armour. North Korea's Air Force has more than 400 fighter aircraft, 80 bombers and more than 200 transport aircraft. But again, many of them date from the Soviet Union, with some thought to be up to 80 years old. The Korean People's Army Naval Force has around 470 surface vessels, including guided missile ships and torpedo boats. It also has around 70 submarines, including Romeo-class boats built by the Soviets in the late 1950s. Recently, Kim Jong-un has moved to boost the size of the Navy and equip it with nuclear weapons. It's also believed to have deployed new underwater drones, warships, and its first operational missile submarine. Simon Newton, BFBS Forces News.
Joe Biden's dog Commander has earned notoriety after biting almost over a dozen U.S. Secret Service agents at the White House. Now, things could, of course, be different this time around as a robotic dog was seen patrolling outside of Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago property in Florida. Take a look at this report.
President-elect Trump's day one priorities, he vows to focus on immigration and wants to expel anyone living in the U.S. illegally. He also wants to impose a tariff of 10 to 20% on all goods not made in America. And he says he will work to end the wars in Ukraine and Gaza.
I full on removed myself from Hinge, Bumble. I didn't even think twice about it. There's no way I am letting any man near me.
For the next 4 years, I am going to abstain from schmex with men. And funny enough, I actually just broke up with my boyfriend.
Ain't no way in hell I'm leaving my man. I'm not here to judge anybody doing this 4B movement, but telling people to divorce their husbands is crazy.